Welcome back to Boise Entrepreneur Week. I'm Margaret McGann. I'm a shareholder at Parsons, Behle and Latimer here in Boise. And today with me, I have Dr. Vid Mohan-Ram. He's the Chief IP Counsel here at JR Simplot Company. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. And we're here today to talk about AI, and both in the law, not from like a legal case development standpoint, but sort of how AI is being used within your legal department and within legal departments all across, both my clients and then people you've talked to. So it's not meant to really focus on exactly what Simplot's doing as much as sort of what's going on in the overall marketplace. So my first question is, when did you first encounter AI in your work?
Well, we're such a large global private company. We have a global food business, a global agribusiness. We have like one of the largest cattle companies in the country. We have a big life sciences group for animal sciences that does embryogenetic herd management, and plant sciences that does our crop trait management work. And across all that, we have our global services functions: legal, IT, HR, procurement, finance. About 14,000 employees, and everyone wants to use AI all the time in their roles and their function for everything that they want to do that's relevant to their work. And so about 3 years ago, when there was public ChatGPT, we started to get emotional about what that was all about, and we're concerned about trade secret, confidential, financial, proprietary information being put into the public sphere. So we decided we needed to do something to try to control that. So that was about 3 years ago. That was probably when we started to get concerned and figured out that we needed a governance plan.
So you have people that are both doing like hard science. You also have people doing marketing.
Yeah.
Not that marketing's not a science, but you have people from very different walks of business needing to use a tool or wanting to use a tool.
Yep.
And so in my role as outside counsel, I've had clients come to me and they have run a search across their company to figure out who's using AI, because they weren't even aware that they had people using AI and what AIs were being used. So I'm assuming at Simplot, you guys have developed some sort of system for deciding who can use what AIs?
Yeah, ChatGPT is the OpenAI is the one that comes to mind, but when we checked, there was at least 24 or more different types of platforms. And so that's, in terms of the risk profile for the company, we needed to make sure we understood what platforms were being used by which groups, and put some controls around that.
So how did you decide what controls, or what was the mechanism that you guys have put in place to sort of help you figure out which AI tools you're okay with your employees using?
Yeah, the leadership team, through our C-suite, decided that we needed to have a governance plan in place. So we put together a AI council led by our Senior VP of Technology and Data Management, Darren Page. I'll be talking tomorrow about that more detail. And I sit on that council because of the IP issues to do with information. Another attorney, Cheyenne House, who does our technology and data management work, the head of procurement, head of info security, and then the 2 data science leads who control that. And we figured out that we needed to, when you have like 10,000 people using AI across the world, we couldn't review everything. And so we created a low, medium, high risk tolerance kind of management scheme that kind of empowered our procurement department to figure out, here are the types of guardrails. If you fall in guardrails, then they independently can go and figure out what they want to do with allowing vendors in. And then when we use vendors that plug and play AI, we have a questionnaire that they answer that helps us figure out what's the risk profile. And then when we start getting into issues of AI with HR or IP or financial and assessment, that comes up to the AI Council for higher level review.
So if it's something that you guys have identified as something that might create high risk for Simplot, then that's going to get a lot more attention by the council.
Yep.
But rather than get bogged down, you have ways to clear the lower risk ones straight through.
Yep.
And is your department using, why don't you talk a little bit about your department? how big it is, what you're doing there, just to get a feel for what tool might have been useful for you.
Yeah, that's good. For such a big company, we have such a tight legal department. We have about 30 attorneys and paralegals and staff. James Alderman is our general counsel, my boss, and then we have senior counsel, and then all of our fantastic teams in different practice areas. And so we have our environmental, litigation, IP, real estate, and we rely on counsel around the world too to help us with their AI tools. But we're trying to use AI for contract lifecycle management and to help us drafting initial templates and contracts. And then in the IP space, we have patent and trademark-specific AI tools. And that's been really helpful to streamline work. It's been great.
Yeah, and I'm interested in hearing how you're using AI to do some of that work and how you manage the use of AI. One of the things that it appears to me in the life cycle that we're in right now and trying to use AI in our work is figuring out when AI saves you time and when you're spending so much time managing the use of the AI that it's no longer saving you time.
Yeah, so I started my prompts with tell me a joke in the style of Rodney Dangerfield. So, or write me a poetry or something about my job. So that was easy and fun. But if you don't get those prompts right, I've learned personally it's noise, and a lot more noise to go through, a lot of research that comes back. And some of the enterprise tools that we use have AI agents that are specifically tailored to do research or analyst work. And you can create your own agents that live within a confined space that you're interested in. So I created an IP agent specifically. So if you can manage where the AI is going, and you have a self-contained world, that helps so you don't get all this noise. And then learning to get educated and sophisticated with the prompts. Like what are the types of prompts that you need to return good, understandable results? And sometimes those prompts are 6 or 7 sentences that end up educating the AI tool about what it is I'm looking for specifically.
So, I mean, I'm old enough that when I started practicing law, Westlaw was relatively new. And I certainly had senior partners at the firm I was at that did not use Westlaw. They went down to the library and they looked for cases the old-fashioned way. And definitely there were some people who used Westlaw effectively, and there were other people who created a lot of work for themselves using Westlaw. Do you see that is a similar type way to how AI is being implemented in the legal world?
Yeah, I used to have a stovepipe hat when I started, so that's the same. Yeah, no, a good example is with the patent-specific tools is you're able to, again, in that confined space, run specific kinds of searches that are relevant to trademarks or patents. And so it's really cut down for me hours and hours of work when you can tailor the search strategies appropriately. And so one example is whenever we have clients across the company that have a new invention or something that they are interested in, it's because it's an enterprise system and not public, I'm more comfortable putting those kind of invention search terms in. And then it uses those terms to run novelty searches, to see what's been done before in the literature, to give me an idea about how novel or new is this particular thing. The other day I ran 3 searches. The first search took like 12 minutes, and then 16 minutes, and then I think 14 minutes. And the tool is able to estimate how much time you've saved if you had done this the old stovepipe hat way. And it ended up being basically those 3 searches with 34 minutes of search time was 44 hours. So it's basically a week of time saved in about half an hour. But still, I had to spend probably 5 hours of my time reviewing everything appropriately.
Right, and some time in creating the prompts, right?
Yeah.
But not 40 hours.
No, and the beauty of some of these tools is that they offer AI semantic searches, which means that you don't have to actually write a prompt. You can drop in a particular phrase or something, and it would use its own judgment to figure out what it needed to search based on the subject matter. So that's been good, and that's helped a lot streamline a lot of work that we do in-house.
And do you work in your team on when you're working within your group, your own team, and you're developing these prompts or looking at novel ways to try to look at whether an invention that someone has come up with is novel? Is it something that you work as a team to develop those prompts, or is it each attorney that is doing that is sort of working on their own?
I think it's each attorney. Yeah, we share tips, but I think we don't want to stifle attorneys into thinking they have to do things their own way. And you really have to learn how to do your prompts and questioning by yourself, frankly.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about AI use by your outside counsel.
Ooh.
How is that impacting what's coming to you from your outside counsel?
It's been good because we get a lot of good feedback on pretty much the same kind of tools that I can output that I can now see in real time. Mm-hmm. So it's been very helpful to cut to the chase for a lot of noise that we have to get through. I think there's many state bars that are looking at the ethics of outside counsel's use or any attorney's use with an AI tool if that's available to them. Because if you can save 40 hours for a client, the question is, should you make that available to your client and potentially help them, especially startups and entrepreneurs? Is there a cost savings that will make you attractive as outside counsel to a startup?
Right, and whether or not you have an ethical obligation as a lawyer, right, to optimize or to use the more efficient option that's to you.
Yeah. And then some states have, like a handful of states have enacted laws that require disclosure of your use of AI mandatorily. And the federal government has a bill that's pending to make it nationwide. And so there is, for attorneys practicing in those states, there would be the need to disclose that you're using AI. And if you haven't disclosed that to your client ahead of time, and there's still a big billable chunk, that might cause an ethical issue.
And does Simplot give guidelines on AI use by outside vendors and outside clients? Is that something you guys have considered or looked at?
Not for AI and outside counsel, but we do have for different vendors guidelines and questions that we ask them about how they use our information.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you started practicing in your
Stovepipe.
Lincoln hat,
Yeah.
did you ever anticipate that this would be part of your job, determining ethical use of AI?
No. My wife asked if I was going to be talking about robots and like HAL, and so that might be coming next time we do this in a few years. But yeah, the AI explosion has just been stunning, and I think we just have to learn how to use it in the in-house legal department as effectively as we can. But knowing that we still have all of our attorneys that need to stay on top of what they're doing.
Well, and not just your attorneys, because of where you sit in the risk thing, you're also looking at all the various departments that are using it and making sure it's being done in a way that protects you, right?
So we have educated our global services teams, and we've sent out news alerts throughout the company to give them that guidance.
To make sure that they know that they can't just use anything.
Yeah.
Well, I have really enjoyed talking with you
thank
about this. It's been an amazing 3 years. I do have to say, you and I had some initial conversations when it was first coming in, and it caused me to go back to my firm too, and for us to pull and look at how we were using AI internally and make sure. I mean, we were very careful on how our lawyers were using it, but you're not always aware how everyone else in your company or enterprise might be using it.
Right.
And it's really a holistic thing you have to look at and manage.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
And I really appreciate all you guys have done, and I appreciate you being here today. I want to thank everyone for watching.
Thank you.
We'll be right back, but first, a word from our sponsor.